Howdy, everybody. Hello. Sup, nerds. Drucifer here. Today we are going to illustrate together stuff for the zine that's coming up. Harrowings from the Rime. Feel free to leave comments and ask me any questions you may have about the zine itself. If you ask me a question, I will answer it, and you'll get some neat little spoilers. How's that? You feel me? Let's go. Now we're gonna try and nail this thingy here. See, the original plan was to use my brother's super awesome computer and computer phone, his stupid smartphone, and use this little mechanical arm thing to record like a high def thing, zoom in on the pictures and all that. Then YouTube was like, not today, buddy. So now we're here, Jank City, and I'm glad you're here joining us. We're still gonna have some fun. All right. First things first, we're gonna figure out how to freaking get this thing. Okay. Boom. Can you see that, Mr. Robinson? It looks good to me, especially when I move my freaking hand away. Let's see, how's that? Okay. Cool. So, what we're gonna do is start the races. Right now, I am doing the pen work for a banner for one of my own articles, Beneath the Glacier, where it is an excavation where you're trying to excavate these preserved bodies out of this ice tomb. You're trying to pick them out of the ice and then survive while doing so, and figuring out what they carried, who these people were. And it's been pretty fun so far. It's kind of a super mystery. So, first things first, we're going to start with a doggo. We're going to get a northern Inuit dog. You got a good puppo. Thank you, Google. We're just off to the races here. I'm not really that good of an artist, so I'm really thankful that the zine culture is very like DIY, right? So like, it's okay if it's crappy, because that's the style, because everybody's crappy. And obviously you take that with a grain of salt. I want the thinner boy here. I mean, I'm on the thick boy life, but you want that detail. This pen has been good to me, although I think it's dying. This pupper boy, he is super alert at what may or may not be upon the horizon of however long ago, because now he is frozen, and puppers, he is no longer. He's got that black jowl lining, though. I love it when dogs have that jowl, because the black mouth is just a really cool defining trait. And although this breed I learned while in my Google search is actually a modern breed, it's a crossbreed between two different ones. The pictures that I've seen of the Inuit tribes, and for this we're just kind of using the aesthetic of the Inuits in order to have a reference point to sort of set the tone. Their puppers were a lot huskier, very thick, and some would say wolf-like. But that makes sense because, doggos are wolfies. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Thursday is my day off from my peon job at the library that I adore. And it gives me time to focus on production. The library has been very good to me. And I'm moving in Rochester to pursue my dream of, living in Rochester. So if you live out there, expect your boy. Back to this article, though. So it's kind of like a treasure adventure. It's like a big treasure chest, but you have to have this giant skill check of mining out these bodies, and they have all these different preserved different kinds of treasure in them. And whereas in like a stock D&D adventure, some of these things may be considered mundane. If we're in sort of this subtone of Arctic horror survival, all of these things are very, very utilitous and desirable. Because otherwise, these sojourners, whoever they were, whatever their story is, they wouldn't be carrying them. Yeah. So thank you, puppers, for the profile shot. I'm going to go back to our Inuit pick. Sort of refer to these puppers. These are thick puppers. These guys don't got chicken wings. They're just all chicken thighs. You know what I'm saying? They're like the dwarves of northern puppers. But would you really have it any other way is my main question. I'm really excited, really thankful for everybody who decided to join us for the magazine here, who created all this stuff with us. It's really cool what we were able to make, and I'm so thrilled to get everybody in on this. Like, there's so much cool stuff in here. I love just the research process that goes into making all this content. It takes a long time. It can kind of be annoying, but it is rewarding. I did have this plan to be on kind of a dye, but now Puppers is thicker than intended, so we're gonna have to just roll with it. That would be my mother. She's can't see her, but she's here.
You want some roasted cashews?
No thanks, Mom.
Okay.
Thank you. We got our hunter bro over here in his parka. Parkas are really cool because they are very necessary and they require so much effort to create. I believe most of them were from caribou, but inside of those times where they were hunting, it would take a really long time to make one parka, from what I understand. And like, I used to have all the information in front of me when I was researching everything. I don't have it in front of me now. But I love how thick they are and how, like, even though here the detail looks kind of cloth-like, the thing is that these things are tough, hardened. Like, parkas may have a similar degree of protection as like a gambeson might have. This is all conjecture, though. I don't know. I don't think any nerd has gone so far as to make a YouTube video or some such comparing the protective strength of a parka to a gambeson, because parkas weren't designed for protecting against blades, but rather the rime itself. The rime. Yeah, I really enjoyed working on this magazine, and these illustrations have been really fun too. More because it forces me to illustrate than anything else, because illustrations take a long time to do, and whenever I start doing them, it's like I need to just finish it and I won't stop. Like yesterday, I was just touching up this picture. You may have seen it in the intro or on the Kickstarter page. It used to just be the picture of the Urfulgar here holding the body in its arm, but then I was like, well, it needs like a background and junk, so then I start filling in some cross hatching, and then it turns into this big cloud thing. And I'm like, well, I need to display the scale of how big this guy is, because this is just his like little mandible hands, like if this was an insect, those would be its mandibles. And then inside the cloud here, he's like gripping a freaking tower with his big monster arm. And I was supposed to get this illustration done yesterday, but instead I ended up like spending an hour on this, and like, it's just a lot. Just a lot. Definitely worth it, though. let me know what your favorite either horror movie is or winter-based piece of fiction is, or if you even have like an adventure for either D&D or an RPG that you played in, a memory from that adventure. So that's what it's all about, memories, and exploring that side of our human psyche that cannot help but be enamored by wonder and mystery and the spirit. Get some good shading on the puppers here. One thing I love about working with fine-tipped pens is that you can really display a lot of texture simply based on the marking shape that you use and then repeating it. It's kind of the technique that I've lived off of, if you want to call it that. And I definitely need to work on learning new techniques, just different ways to go about things so I can expand my ability and get better and create better content. So, I have less things to outsource. But it is therapeutic as well, especially for my moguls who are living in America. I would implore you to find something that gets you away from all this technology and busyness. So just sit down, meditate, reflect. A lot of my millennial friends and Gen Zers or whatever, geez, look at this guy. Looks like he has because I put too much emphasis there, which means I really shouldn't be highlighting this. It should all be darker. And that sort of line should come down here. Masked by that value. And this means in order to fix it, I got to cover all of it with more value. And then it becomes a trade-off with accuracy, where you want to put the marking and the speed at which you are able to. That's really how you draw, folks. Even if you don't know how to draw, all you need to know to learn how to draw is take whatever it is you're looking at. Like this is a dude here. This is a dog. This is a circle. This is a rectangle. This is like a chicken wing shape, and this is another chicken wing shape. You lightly draw in pencil those rudimentary shapes, and then you begin to map the cross section or whatever, the features on like a face or whatever, very lightly, and then you make sure that it's symmetrical. Unless you're drawing a really ugly face, make it asymmetrical. And then you just essentially try to mimic how dark or light it is and map it out. And then like we've been doing here, if you're using pen, you just kind of choose a texture mark. For this dog here, it's just a shaggy little line. And then over here, It's kind of this crosshatch marking, and then you just build up. Start with your lightest values and your darker ones, and you try to keep them balanced. Like right here with this dog, I'm not doing a good job with the balance because it's so dark here. This is dark is the same as that dark, but now I'm gonna fill in all of this and make him a darker dog, whereas before I didn't want to mask my mistakes. It's another thing if you're starting with art. Pencil is great, colored pencil, because it's easier to make up for these kinds of mistakes. And what I failed to do, the shapes for them and allot myself. That map to work on top of. A lot of people think, oh, I have to be a creative genius to make art or whatever it is, even in like books, RPGs, songs, media. You just gotta have a willingness to start and then not give up. That's how you do it, my friends. Yeah, but for the magazine, we have 10 different pieces of content inside of it. We have 2 pieces of fiction. One is A Cold Hunger by Egg Embry, an adventure about a hunting party that finds something peculiar. Our other fiction is called Orlang of the Peaks. It is a shaman's bedtime story, rite of passage for a tribe, much like the Inuits presented here. And that was written by my best friend, Guy Shanklepore. We have 3 dungeon/adventures in the magazine. One I had the privilege of collaborating on. We have Tomb of the Frozen Pharaoh, which is a randomized adventure where you're trying to navigate through this upside down pyramid, and you're on this adventure trying to find this artifact inside of it for this sorcerer who has hired you. And it's very cool. The art is super fantastic. The mechanics are really cool. It's very very great introductory dungeon. There's a lot of cool traps in there. And then just the fact that you get to make the dungeon's layout as you go, dropping the dice in, is so cool. And it changes how. So there's a lot of replayability. Then we have Siege of the Ice Lord, which is a hex crawl dungeon. A micro hex crawl is what we're calling it. And superbly written by Aaron Cordiali of the Lands of Alair, and he's releasing his game pretty soon, Feather and Blood. I played it. It's really fun. It's a collaborative game where you take on the role of this crow amongst this pack of crows, and you dissect this body as you're eating it, and as you do so, you have this psychic power to sort of relive the memories of that person, and then you start telling this collaborative story together with everybody else at the table, and then other things happen in the story as well. So it's not just like a psych episode or whatever, but there's plot involved too, and it's all really cool stuff. And for the Frozen Pharaoh, Amanda Call and Douglas Shute Amanda is a webcomic extraordinaire. She has her webcomic Age of Night. And it's on this. I think she's working on the 4th volume right now, but it's really cool. I want to read more of it. I know that it's free on the net there, but then she's selling the physical copies, and it's really well written, well done stuff. Definitely look up to her. And then, of course, Doug Shute of Victory Condition Gaming and Dumpstat Tees. They did Dumpstat Tees together. Great content. Chaotic Good podcast. Chaotic Good Discord server. You get on that Discord server. There's a lot of stuff going on. Also, get on our Discord server. There'll probably be a link in the doobly-doo by the end of the stream. Yeah. The other thing about drawing is that over time, you sort of remember how things are supposed to sit and weigh at different things. You see, I just drew this little pupper paw there because I've drawn them a bunch, dealing with the last book that I illustrated, which was my own. I was supposed to drink my coffee. My water. So those are the guys that contributed a full-blown adventure to the zine, alongside myself and my best bro Cameron. We made the Devourer of Fools is what it's called. It's set in our space fantasy setting that we are fervently working towards releasing probably in 2020. Where essentially you can sail the skies of the night as you can the seas of the day. And then there's this sacred system of planets, and each of them have peculiar peoples with their own world religions and cultures and political disarrays, and it's a big conflict between these different fervent belief systems and the new pirate class of citizen, right? Citizen of the universe. And then how all those things intersect. The people of the blue realm are trying to search the stars for their goddess who left them, the Aiel, to whom the seas belong. And for the Devourer of Fools, there is this ice labyrinth that sits upon a ring of this planet way out in the dark called the Savage Realm. And it sits on one of its planetary rings like Saturn, right? And there's this evil force that will pull in these ships. Anybody who gets close, and it'll maroon them, crash them into the top of this labyrinth. And now the labyrinth itself is more like a dome because of all the smashed wooden hulls that lie on top of it. And there are a bunch, scattered there. You find that when you get there, most of your crew is just dead from the impact. Super fun time. And then you feel this voice inside of you that commands you to enter enter the labyrinth. And you try to figure out the mystery as well as survive through it. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in that setting. I can't really reveal too much about right now, just because we got to get this magazine out, and we got to re-release the Core Rulebook, and that's going to happen probably in September. We'll have the digital edition out everywhere RPGs are sold, as well as the physical copies, which are going to be super sweet. And I'm so excited about it. I can't wait, because then I can just start focusing on making more YouTube content, making this space fantasy book for you. Anyways, those are our 3 dungeons. We also have a couple articles. We have, I believe, 3 articles. 1, 2. Yeah, 3 articles, I would say. I wrote one article. It's called Beneath the Glacier, and that's what this is. It's kind of an encounter mystery thing where you try to unveil these mummies, more or less, from the ice. For whatever reason that your party would bring to the table to desire to uncover these bodies. For it, it's just general archaeological significance, or if you think that they got some treasure on them or something, who somehow found themselves in the Arctic wastelands. And you gotta excavate them and then thaw them one by one, more or less. And then if you can excavate them without cracking them open and making them shatter to pieces, then you can thaw them. And if you thaw them correctly, which is kind of a process in and of itself, you can learn what they have on them and then take their valuables. It's a great encounter and like a backdrop for survival encounters to plop into any survival campaign in the north. We got our little babushka in the back here. For this one, I'm kind of going a bit freer, because the texture of the parka is so cool. This warm, cloth-like, leathery Yeah, another thing with line work with especially pens that I found is easy for you to screw up, you know. It's easy for you to make something too dark. Like I did with the pupper over here. That's going to be our secret, you and me, okay? We're not going to tell anybody we messed up on the pupper. That's another thing. If you ever have like an art thing or a performance, if you mess up mid-performance, the only people who are going to know that you messed up is you and other performers in the crowd. So just catch yourself, keep going as fast as possible. You hit a sour note on the guitar, you mess up your fill, you make a dog look like he has a tumor in his shoulder. You just keep moving. Don't pay that much attention to it. You'll do fine, kid. It is another probably mistake here that the silhouette of the guy and his leg is right behind the silhouette of the dog, but just like we were talking about, it's also a feature, so because now it helps hide the weird dimensions that we have on the stocky forelegs of our puppers. And for this architecture, I like to sort of draw out the little creases and folds lightly in a shape, and then I like to cross hatch above that shape. I want to put some kind of decoration on our babushka's parka, though, because I have seen a lot of pictures where specifically the females parkas have cool designs on them. And I mean, obviously, that's probably just a modern thing. You might have reserved that for like shamans in the past, whatever. It's a sign of wealth, I imagine, getting any kind of ink right up there. So I don't think like blood itself is a good ink. I could be wrong though. Maybe up there the conditions make it easier. I don't know. Yep, the good old Inuits, progenitors of the ketogenic diet. Been on that for a minute now. It's been good to me. I'm teetering above losing 40 pounds, and I've just been really consumed with work and school and all this stuff. And I was on a good intermittent fasting trip for a while, and I need to get back on that horse. It's all really just a decision, like we were talking about before. Anyways, back to the magazine. For our other two articles, I have this great, really funny one from my friend Jim Kowalski called How to Die, a survey of disembowelment. And he made this cool article about the different ways people become disemboweled in the Arctic wastes, and there's a chart in there that you can roll on to apply those like debuff effects in the process of death to your players, as they do have too much insight on the whole Arctic bit, but instead he wrote a piece about how to run horror games for new GMs, and it's really good stuff. Really good stuff. And then we have the bestiary, where everybody on the team, most of them, contributed a monster, and they're system neutral. They don't really have stats on them, but they're cool ideas, and we have full arts for all of them. So this is where you'll find the mutilated walrus. And spoiler alert, the mutilated walrus also makes an appearance in one of our fictions. So be on the lookout for that. Oh yeah, we also have a 5E boss monster from our very own 5E aficionado, Ian Rollins of the Lands of Alair and Freakopolis Geekery. I love those guys. Have great weekly sessions with them. They're like my core playtester group right now. I gotta tell you all about some of the crazy stuff that we're doing in our campaign one of these weeks. And I think we're done with the detail on the babushka. We're gonna get rid of this this pencil here, and then I think we can put. They're technically like ice preserved mummies, right? So it's okay if they look kind of meh, but I want to make sure that there's like, you know, the face app on her, you know. And then little wisps of hair. Traditionally, though, from the pictures I saw, I think most of the women would always braid their hair. And the men would wear theirs long, like OG Indian style. Or they would shave it. But that's just from what I've seen, like documentaries of modern Inuit. So it's just what I know, you know? You don't know unless you know. Now for the bags. So this is covered by a sinew mesh. Oh yeah, I guess I could carry that part. I'm gonna finish. Yeah, these big mittens, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of an awkward angle. And when I was researching, I tried to find an oil lamp. Like a torch equivalent for the Inuits, right? And I was looking at everything, and they had these fat lamps, is what they call them, where they take like walrus fat or blubber, whatever they got, and then they it's kind of like a little Arabic Aladdin lamp. It's just like this bone bowl, and it'll have like a wick in there, and it'll go up, and it'll just flame off the one part. But it was always like a very stationary, almost ceremonial type lamp. It was very much for the house. I didn't see any designs for a fat lamp that could be used as a torch. And I kept looking for any sort of parallel for a torch. And I couldn't find any. And I don't know if it was because of I just didn't spend enough time, but like I'd been researching a lot of Inuit stuff to find the logistics for this article, and the fat lamp was really the closest thing for a light source, and they only had it for internal house usage. And I wondered why, and then it dawned on me that the reason why is simply because you don't usually go out at night because of the sub-zero temperatures to do that much. If you're a fisherman or whatever, you'll probably get up in the morning, but it's probably a really dumb idea to go out at night. Because you'll literally freeze to death. And that's what I learned after I had drawn most of this. So now he just has a regular torch. Yeah. Alrighty. I learned that most of the Inuits' tools are made of wood and bone. And fur. So like this sort of toboggan sled thing that I'm butchering over here is two like ribs of a whale essentially, and then they cover it in fur of caribous and stuff. And they like they tie it all together so that the caribou fur is the middle of it, and then they put like a lattice on it. I would assume more bones, and then that's how they make their sleds. And I mean, like, obviously, it's impossible to be completely authentic to archaeology and all that unless we took so much time. But this isn't one of those projects, you know. But we did put a lot of work in, and I'm really happy with how a lot of these projects and articles came out. And they're gonna add a lot of value to your games and at least give you a fun time reading through. And I really hope you experience all of the content we've made for this. Enjoy it as much as we have enjoyed making it. We're definitely going to do more of these zines. I'd like to do them regularly, and I'd like to do them all for free. I'm not sure how everything's going to pan out, but as we, just keep working, keep creating, it'll all become clear as snow. Yeah, the Inuit tribes are fascinating, though, because they're free of so many different aspects of especially modern culture, and they've traded that for this war against the elements, and they just have such this humble existence. And it's caused them to have a lot of interesting takes on different aspects of society and just general opinions and cultural norms. And I implore you to look up and research about them because they are very fascinating people. And it is very sad to see their way of life go away. And yeah, I don't think the modern world entering their fragile system of life was very helpful to them. And these are different caribou furs at the bottom here. Bottom here, bad. Another thing I love about the RPG community right now is like so many different kinds of art styles that are or aren't like traditional are welcome. Like what's the illustrations in like Veins of the Earth? I forget, Trash Princess or something like that. I forget her name, but that artist's style is just so abstract and loose, and it's like critically acclaimed and all this. And oh yeah, there's another javelin, harpoon. Yep, but I always like to challenge my friends, and you guys are my friends. What do you guys want in life? Literally, just comment. What do you want? What do you want in your life? You gotta fight to get it, my friends. It's all outside your comfort zone. Nothing is wasted. There's a lot of pain in everything, you know. But we learn from our experience, and we can choose to grow from it, get better, make something beautiful, like our Inuit friends. Okay. So we're just going to kind of do general silhouette. Because give her a little foot over here. And another peeking out down there. And now we need to put on. It's supposed to be a sinew cordage covering everything on. But I mean, if it's like hundreds of years old, it could get gray, I suppose. And then they have to put knots on it, right? All these little details, you guys. Obviously, I doubt that the Inuits had a mesh for traveling that looked exactly like this. But, you know, we're doing something with it, right? And then that's the javelin. Put a little horizon over here. You're drawing all over it. This is like ice, you know, so. All right, friends. We did it. Gonna end it here. See you next time. Bye.